Okay, give me one more moment. Okay, so we're apparently set up because everyone else is in the Zoom room. Although Michael's arriving shortly. Okay, so it is 7:05 and we do have quorum in a combination of in the room and on Zoom. And I know that Michael, is it correct that you will be here in a while?
Yes, in about 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. But we're going to start. We're going to go ahead and start because you're here-ish. Anyway, so my name is Laura Myers, and I am the Vice President for United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. And also on the meeting with us are Paula Southern, UNNC's president, and Michael Soderstrom, UNNC's signatory. And we have guests, including board members and others. Hunter Reese, Yona Hong, David, I'm assuming this is, hi David, and Teresa Masonette, and Ever with us today, Ever in person with me here at the South Seas House. And I'm going to share the agenda so we can all take a look at it. And as always, figure out how to navigate it.
Love you, buddy.
Hi there. Because this is executive committee, we don't really do introductions, but we will meet each person as the agenda items go along. So I'm sharing the screen so we can go quickly through the agenda. So that's the first order of business, is review the agenda. Then we have public comments and announcements on anything, any item not on tonight's agenda. We have executive committee business. Our treasurer, Candace Jackson, is actually, unfortunately, on an airplane because the flight was changed/delayed. So we will have very brief discussion of rollover, but can't really discuss much of it. And then we have my report or Paula's report. For funding requests, we've been asked to table for tonight and reschedule for September our item for Little III World Harvest, because they too got stuck traveling in a place where they can't get to us. But otherwise, we also have the request, or proposal for UNNC to contribute some money to the Congress of Neighborhoods, NPG request from the LA Korean Festival Foundation, and the I am having word issues. UNNC's Communications Committee requesting up to $500 for a tablet and other marketing tools. And in addition to that, moving to the next page, the possible establishment of some sort of program, I guess, for a UNNC youth representative or ambassador or advocate, seems like a better word, position or positions discussing how to better engage youth with UNNC. We cannot create a board position based on our current bylaws, but maybe possibly create a non-board position. And also a discussion, number 6, we've been requested to write a support letter, but I want to really broaden the discussion to be, is our president able to write support letters for this, that, or the other activity if the council office wants to know something without us going all the way to the board to vote before we write such letters? That's a question that we'll be discussing along with this specific project. Interview candidates for our vacant governing board seat. We have 2, again, a board member has said, can we look at these 2 council files and consider how we do a community impact statement? And part of the issue right now is we don't have a CIS committee and we don't have a Recreation and Parks Committee, which is relevant to the first item. So a broader discussion about that. And also committee reports if as needed, agenda items for the next governing board meeting, a discussion about what we would be putting on the September agenda. And that is our agenda. Are there any questions? Okay. So where we're at is general public comments on and announcement. Teresa has her hand raised.
Thank you, Laura. Hello, everybody. I'd just like to remind the board members that we are still looking for volunteers for the Jazz Fest for Labor Day weekend, Friday, August the 31st, Friday, August the 30th, Saturday, August the 31st, and September 1st. Please look for the email and let me know what time slot you would like to participate. Thank you.
So I'm going to supplement that by saying, and not just seriously consider it, but it's so much fun. This is the, 20th year, Teresa could correct me, but many, many years of Jazz Under the Stars here in the Avenues for 3 days. And it's great music, sometimes not so great music, but great fun, lots of food vendors. And when you volunteer at the UNNC booth, or like I do, I volunteer at a different organization's booth, but it's a great way to meet people. It's also a great way to have a designated seat when we end up having hundreds of people and not that many chairs. So, it's just a really good thing to volunteer for and enjoy yourself. And I say this all the time, but one of our board members who is not present tonight was dancing in the rain last year and just had a great time. So anyway, are there any other general public comments or announcements not on items not on this agenda? Okay. So I'm a little, not totally organized today. So the next item on the agenda is executive committee business, and I'm going to look for and then share the screen, the letter we got from, I hope I have it, yes, from the city clerk with our rollover budget. And okay. I'm going to try and move this. I can see. Anyway, can you see on the screen this? Okay. So basically, we thought we had something like $5,000, couple of $100, $52, $53, $5,400 left over from last year. But now it turns out that we have somehow, and we don't even know how this all adds up, $9,649.04. We don't know why, but we do. Or we have $8,563.04. So again, these numbers don't make a lot of sense to us, other than we have more money than we thought we would, and that's in addition to the $32,000. Candace has a meeting set up for later this week with our city clerk funding officer to, not to argue this, because we're accepting the money for obvious reasons, but to find out how we were so wrong in our calculations, because we were following along on the public website and comparing the money we had outstanding and the money that was up there, and we planned incorrectly, luckily in our favor, but the opposite, where it would be not in our favor. We think we have 10,000, we only have 100. So Candace is trying to get clarification on how exactly we ended up with this little bit of a windfall. So we had voted when we thought it was around 5,000. The board had voted that we would probably delegate that money to the election, but I don't think we're necessarily gonna wanna delegate close to $10,000 to the election, so
No.
no, I don't think so either. So probably at the next executive committee meeting, so the September meeting, we should have a more serious discussion about, you know, how much money for the election and how much money for which other categories. And could you give Mike a copy of the agenda and make a recommendation for the October board meeting? You know, I don't think we can make those recommendations without Candace here tonight. So, are there any questions, comments? All right. And
The comment I have is Candace is still investigating. She's gonna have a meeting to determine.
not to find out, not to argue about the dollar amount.
No, just to find out how this discrepancy or this
Yes.
difference of opinion happened.
Exactly, so that for this fiscal year, as we go along, we can calculate better as we go along from month to month to month, how much money we really have left and how much, and then when we get to May and start frantically allocating money to spend quickly, so that because remember, you can only roll over $10,000.
Right.
So we don't want to have 16,000, but we also don't want to have 100.
Right.
So we thought initially we were rolling over 7,000 or 8,000, and then we came to the sorry realization that it was 5,000, and then we allocated the 5,000 so we could balance our budget. We allocated that, tentatively to the election, but it turns out it's 9,650. So, much bigger number, but we don't want to give 9,650 to the election either. So that's what I'm saying. We're going to have to do better, but it's going to be hard to do better going forward without knowing what we did wrong.
Right. Okay.
And maybe we didn't do anything wrong. Maybe they just have a funky accounting system for the public view, and what we need to do is ask them, where are we really, because we start thinking about this in April. In April, we do the last NPGs.
Yeah.
We do the math because the May board meeting is usually the last time we can
allocate funds.
Well, vote to make a check payment, because remember the last check payments are due in by June 1st.
Right.
So our board meeting one time was on June 1st, and at 11 p.m. that night, Paul was frantically turning in payment requests. Technically within the right time frame, but most of the time we would have to do our last payment request at the May board meeting. So we think about this in April, do our check payment requests for May, which would be usually the grant monies, and then come the first 2 weeks of June, we're frantically spending money on promotional items or whatever so that we get below 10,000. That's the point. We want to be able to roll over and not just give money back to the city. So if we can't properly calculate it, it's really hard to do, those actions. So.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to stop this share. For the vice president, Teresa, I'm sorry,
I thought we were on to the next funding request. I'll wait.
You'll wait because, you won't have to wait too long, but hang on a sec. So for vice president's report, we're, in terms of training, we're just at the same place we were at the governing board meeting, which is we have Show King still needs to take those same 2 fundings that for a minute Dunn said she had completed, and then they decided she had not completed them. And she still has. Well, it's not fair. I mean, we don't have to criticize her too badly, but because she just learned about this last month, but she hasn't taken them in the meantime, that's all. And it is fair because what they found out was that she it wasn't that she hadn't taken them, it's that she hadn't passed the test. She didn't answer the questions correctly in the.
Oh,
So you have to have an 80% or something to pass.
Okay.
And that's why they didn't generate certificates.
okay.
She has to, redo it. Ed Saunders still needs to take his anti-bias. And Betty still needs to take both anti-bias and anti-gender bias, I guess, whatever the more recent one is. So nothing has changed since the board meeting. And I do have a question on the attendance. I'm not asking who's been present and who wasn't at July or August's meeting, but are we starting the attendance over or what? A year ago, we started on July 1 and just went forward. And Paula, that was your recommendation, and that's what the officers agreed to. I mean, I'm personally comfortable with just keeping an ongoing tracking and not concerning myself with calendar years or fiscal years. So what do you think? And Teresa, please feel free to weigh in on this too, because I know that it was one of the things we discussed with the bylaws.
Thank you, Laura. Oh, sorry, Paula, were you going to talk?
Yes. I don't know that it's good to just continue. What's the advantage of just continuing?
Well, then if somebody racks up 10 absences, well, maybe not 10, but if they continue to rack up absences, yeah, I mean, in other words, the broad thing is, if a person is absent too often, they're not representing whoever it was they were elected to represent. So in other words, if you were an geographic area rep, if you're not coming to the board meetings, you cannot voice the concerns of your neighbors on whatever item it is. And if you're a at-large representative like Michael is, and like I am, and Paula like you are, we're still not really representing the broader gathering of our stakeholders who might be business owners or church attendees. I mean, we're not representing if we're not present. And it doesn't help the board any either if we, always struggle for quorum. So that'd be the reason to do it in ongoing. Anyway, Teresa, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Laura. So I think the thought was that we have to have a period of time. And if a board member is on the board for 4 years, how many absences are allowed? So we decided that it would just, I don't know if we have it explicitly in the bylaws, but we thought during a year is a good period to evaluate participation from board members. So if someone is absent 3 times and you only have to be there 12 times during a year, is that a point when we should discuss with them to have better attendance? If that.
So both of you seem to be implying that it's fine that I start the year over on July 1. Meaning I have to keep an attendance record.
No, that's not what I was saying, Laura. I mean, I don't know what the date should be. I mean, I think it should be each person. For my tenure to evaluate me, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
you're saying for the 4-year tenure.
I mean,
but I don't think it's 4 years. I don't think it should be for 4 years. I just don't know what that period should be.
Right. So this is Michael Soderstrom. I think probably the fairest would be a rolling window, but that makes the calculation of it to be.
No, then I just take roll.
Well, but then
yes, it makes the calculation bad. Yes.
Right. So I mean, I think in that case, then the triangulation between like what's the easiest for you versus the most fair would be a calendar year.
Well,
which may not be optimal, but it's something that's manageable on your side.
If it wasn't about the calculations.
If all things being equal and we had a system, a rolling thing where you would
every
have
12
X number of absences looking back the last
12 months.
month
Always
today,
always 12 months.
Correct.
What do you think, Paula? Always 12 months? Like, in other words, in September, looking back for every board member to September 2023.
That sounds like a good plan.
And Teresa, what do you think?
I think that's fine to start. You know, that we can let this
Yeah.
fiscal year be the test.
Okay.
And we can adjust as needed.
Okay, yeah, because the bottom line is, if somebody's really not showing up, it doesn't matter if it's 1 year, you know, I mean,
Well,
18 months.
Right, at the end of the day, all this does is trigger a manual process. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think if someone had, you know, been here for 3 years, then that would come up within the manual adjudication as to what we should do.
right, okay, all right, so obviously I don't have an attendance report tonight. And then Paula, do you have any president's report stuff?
No, I have nothing specific
Okay.
to report at this time.
All right, well, that's fine. All right, the next item on the agenda are our funding requests, and I see someone has come in a little late. We are tabling, we have 4 funding requests, but we are tabling item 4, Roman numeral III, so Roman numeral 3, lowercase 3. We're tabling World Harvest Food Bank at their request to come back in a month. So the first item we're not tabling is a proposal for UNNC to contribute $500 to the annual Congress of Neighborhoods discussion and action. Teresa.
Thank you, Laura. So I brought this to the executive committee based on my participation last year. We had about 6 members from the UNNC board participate in the Congress of Neighborhood Councils. There were hundreds of neighborhood council participants, and I've already heard from a couple of members, new members, board members who are going to participate. So I know we haven't in the past, recent past, but I would like to see if there's any support to donate $500 to the Department of Empowerment to support their annual event.
Okay. And so in terms of timeline, if we think this is a good idea, we recommend it to the governing board, and on September 5 is when we vote on it. And there's no, I mean, it's an immediate timeline. So I'm going to ask Michael your thoughts.
I mean, I have no objection to it in theory. I mean, do we, like, did they ask for the money, or this is just out of our, they've always asked for something?
They've always asked, we've just never said yes.
Okay, but in the past.
Laura, can you share the documents? I don't know if you had a chance to see that.
Do you have more than I have? The only document I found was the application form. If you have something else.
You have 3 documents in the agenda packet. Michael, so they reach out to all 99 neighborhood councils to support this. They do get some funding. I'm not sure if it comes through the mayor's office, but they do get some money, but they do reach out, and there are different levels. Some neighborhood councils donate $1,000 or a little bit more. $500 is the minimum. I'm sure if we just wanted to do $200, they would not turn that away. But by donating $500, we are listed in their program, and you know, it shows that I just mainly did it because I know we're getting more and more participants from our board to this event.
Right.
So,
well, the only thing I actually have that I have, and that's just because that's what I have, is the form itself. So obviously, it's just a funding form that if we vote to do this, we fill that out and sign it on September 5. But
in the packet, Laura, there's a flyer. You had the flyer in the packet?
Did I? I'm so sorry. Can you share the screen? Because
give me a minute. I didn't download everything.
Okay, so let's. Oh, where are we?
Stop share.
Stop share, right. So let me, while Teresa is figuring herself out, and then you'll tell me, Teresa, when I can put you in as co-host. The Congress of Neighborhoods is this pretty massive event, actually. It's in City Hall toward the end of September on a Saturday. And it's a gathering. It's not limited to board members of neighborhood council, so mostly it's neighborhood council people, but it's often other people. There are kind of big sessions and then smaller sessions where there's panel discussions on all kinds of different topics of interest to this, people who are interested in the city itself. So the budget advocates may run a session. Thank you, Teresa. I do remember putting that in the packet. There you go. So these are the different requested dollar amounts for the sponsors. So a silver sponsor is all the bronze benefits. Let's see, the bronze benefit is the name in the digital program and the print program and our logo, and on the sponsors page, and then also individual shout outs post on the Congress of Neighborhood social media accounts, and a quarter page ad in the program. I don't know that, to be honest with you, this is great. This is marketing, and Hunter could do it with us.
Yeah, that's why I brought it, because now we have
Right.
Hunter, who is doing a phenomenal job on our social media. So now we
Right.
have something to promote. So
Right, but the other thing is, with the exception of the couple of times that John and I have presented a Planning 101 kind of program, we've been uninvolved, but we've been participating and gaining the benefits from this Congress, but we haven't contributed backwards, to the Congress. So I kind of feel there's two good reasons. Hunter suddenly put his lights on. So what's your thought, Hunter?
I plan on attending this, and I've never been before, so I can't speak to how big of a production they put on. But my gut is saying let's give them $500. I know that the social media shadow isn't necessarily worth $500, but I think it shows goodwill, and could lead to maybe more collaborations in the future. Plus, we have an excess surplus apparently, so right?
Yeah, why not?
Well, we're not rich, but yeah.
But we can handle $500.
Certainly.
Yeah. I just mean if we're going back between 200 and 500, it's at the end of the day, that difference doesn't mean that much to us, but it might mean a lot more to them.
Yeah, no objection from me.
Okay, so I think where we're at is we need a motion from Paula or Michael, and then a second from Paula or Michael.
I'm happy to make the motion.
And I'm happy to second it. Go ahead and make the motion.
The exact motion is to approve, recommend to the governing board the approval of the request for $500 for the United Neighborhood, I'm sorry,
Congress of Neighborhoods.
the Congress of Neighborhoods.
Okay, that's it.
There you go. Sorry.
And Paula, you second?
I second.
And now we get to vote. Just Paula, Michael, and Laura vote.
Yep.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It passes. Okay. Yona, are you still with us?
I'm sorry, Teresa raised her hand.
Oh,
Yes,
Teresa.
I am.
I just
Hi,
want to
Laura,
offer,
and
Wait one
hi,
second.
everyone else.
Wait a second, Yona. What,
Okay.
Teresa?
sorry, I just want to say one last thing, that Laura Blumenfeld and the council recently passed a motion to allow neighborhood councils to carry over all remaining funds. So
For this
there's
1
no-
year, it was for the 1 year only. It'd be
Yes.
nice if it's forever, but it was for last year. They have
Right,
to-
so I realize that, but there's hope that this will be permanent. And also, if we had by chance had more than 10,000, it would have been carried over. So it's not,
Correct.
we were lucky that we were, we got what we have, but we would have been able to carry over more if it exceeded 10,000.
And they've done that before. They did it in the fiscal year 2019, 2020 as well, for a different reason. I don't know what the reason was this year, but that's right. I mean, we can't count on it until we can, meaning if they do a motion at city council. And then we could. It used to be that you could, and that was when neighborhood councils had $50,000 a year budget. And some neighborhood councils managed to end up with a stockpile well over $100,000.
Ooh.
And then they began to question, why do we need to give them that much money if they can't spend it anyway? And that's how our budgets got limited. Anyway, Yona, how are you?
I'm good, Laura. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm going to make you a co-host, and if you don't mind introducing yourself, and if you have, because you have something to share about the festival, and then I have the NPG itself. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, introduce what's going on with the festival.
Got it. Thank you
Please.
so much. First of all, Laura and everyone, thank you for inviting me to come and speak tonight. I really appreciate it. So my name is Yona Hong, and I'm with the Los Angeles Korean Festival Foundation. And I'm gonna do a little bit of talking, but I'm gonna show you a lot of photos because I think a picture tells 1,000 words. So I wanted to do screen share and show our website. It's right here. Can everyone see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we see it here.
Okay, great. So this is our festival website, but and I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Los Angeles Korean Festival, but we started the festival in 1974. So we've been around for 50 years. That's older than many of us. But this picture actually is part of the parade. So there's two different components of the festival. One is the 4-day event, which is going to be from September 26th through September 29th, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The events start at 10 in the morning and it ends at 10 p.m. for the 4 days. And on Saturday, that's where the parade is. And just to give you an idea of how many people participate in the parade, last year we had about 200 groups of people participating, and it's anything from high school band to a nonprofit organization and just different dancers that just kind of march and walk and dance across Olympic Boulevard from Vermont to Western. So this is part of the parade. But I want to tell you a little bit more about the 4-day festival. And if you look at the website, I'm actually going to go to exhibition and experience. So just to let you know, outside of Korea, Los Angeles has the largest Korean population than anywhere else in the world. And recently, the Korean American community celebrated 121 years of immigration history. So it's a big deal for the entire community. But since Los Angeles is so diverse, we want to celebrate the Korean culture, but also this year's theme is celebrating diversity. So apart from Korean cultural performances like Taekwondo, string instruments, and other different performances that we have, this year we have the mariachi singer, we also have Bangladesh dancers, and then we also have LAPD jazz band. We also have also the Oaxacan dancers. So it's very diverse this year, and we definitely want to invite everyone. So I wanted to ask for partnership. We're looking for community partners because more than anything, it's a free event for everyone. So we have stage performances every hour with different performances, but at the same time, we have activities for children and families, and it's all free. So this one is just like photo exhibition that people can just enjoy. But here we have little arts and crafts, and we even have traditional Korean costumes where people can try it on for free and take pictures. And then there are more activities for children. It's like a lotus flower that kids can make. And as I mentioned, the best thing about this is it's all free to the public. And lastly, I just want to show you that we also have strong partnership with city and county. So traditionally, we have the mayor and many of the council members and county supervisors that come to celebrate our opening ceremony here. And also just to let you know, we have international famous celebrities coming from Korea, but we also encourage and embrace local artists that are not professionals, but that are trying to like become more popular. So we give everyone an opportunity. And so here we have some amateur singers. And then here we have the local elementary school students that are performing. And then, let me see. And then these are just And, I think maybe some of you guys saw the Olympics, but Taekwondo is a big part of Korean tradition. So we'll have Taekwondo demonstration team. And then this is actually a local Oaxacan folklorico dancers. You'll see them again this year. They're fabulous. And K-pop, K-drama is really popular. So we have K-pop dance contests. So there's an activity, an event for everyone to really enjoy. And so we want to invite you once again to be a partner. And we're trying to have a lot of our materials translated into different languages. So I have a brochure here, but we have it actually in English, and we translate it into Spanish, Bengali, and Korean. And so I would be more than happy to distribute these brochures to your neighbor council meeting, the general meeting that you're going to have in September. And also, if you have any centers or schools or any places where you would like me to drop off these flyers, I would be more than happy to. So I think that's it for now. And if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer some of the questions for you. Yes.
I have a question, and you said the theme for this year was celebrating what? Was it celebrating our differences?
Celebrating diversity.
Diversity. Okay.
Yes.
That was my question.
So, does anybody besides me have a question? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Mine, we made fun of this in previous years?
We have not. No, that was
Okay.
sort of, so Yona, I know I've known you I feel like forever. I don't even remember why. Where did
you know what?
start?
I was thinking
No,
about
it wasn't, so for everyone to know, I can't remember if it was because of UNNC or CRA or what. But why don't you, because you've been around a long time engaged with this community.
Yes, Laura. Actually, we met 20 years ago, Laura. And I was at LAUSD, and I think you were still part of UNNC. And then I
Oh, it was about the school on Washington and Third Avenue.
yes. And many more projects and different activities in the community. So I went from LAUSD to CRA and then to Metro, and now I'm doing nonprofit work.
Got it. Okay, got it.
Thank you to you both for your service.
But anyway, thank you. And then have you, in the past, because you haven't come to UNNC for funding, have other neighborhood councils helped fund this in the past? And also, are you asking other neighborhood councils this year?
Yes, we have not. This is actually the first year. So just to let you know, I actually started working for this nonprofit just a few months ago. And so I actually proposed the idea of getting the neighbor councils involved because I feel like neighbor councils do so much work, and you guys actually are the main liaison from city to different activities, and then also the community. So I just proposed the idea to our nonprofit to see if we could go out and work with the neighbor councils and apply for the neighbor purpose grants. So we've never, this is our first time, yes.
But you are going to ask other neighborhood councils? I think that was the question.
Yes, so I submitted the report. I've been going to different neighbor councils, and we've been, people have been so supportive, so supportive. Just to let you know, every neighbor council so far, they have not declined. Some have not given us the full $3,000, but I think I put in the report just to let you know. I've gone to.
Can you screen share that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because I didn't add it. I did not add that to the agenda packet. So sorry.
Okay. One second.
Well, that's queued up. Does this take place within our boundaries?
It does not. It takes place
Or is
near.
it Jason?
It's Olympic Western.
Okay.
Or Olympic and Normandy.
Okay.
So it's not far. Okay.
I'm so
So we
sorry,
don't
but
need-
You're cutting out. I didn't understand that. It is not what?
Okay. The main event aside from the parade is at Seoul International Park,
Yes,
which is basically Normandy and Olympic. So it's outside our boundaries, not terribly far outside our boundaries. And certainly when you consider Harvard Heights or Angeles Vista, walking distance.
Right.
You know, not so much walking distance from the South Jefferson Park area.
Right.
oh, and that's one thing that I forgot to mention. So even though it's inside the Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council District, according to the Los Angeles Fire Department, last year we had about 400,000 people in attendance throughout the 4-day event. And so it's citywide, countywide, and I've met some people that actually came from out of state. People here from like Texas or Nevada, and they actually fly out to come to our event. So it's not just everyone that's immediately within that neighbor council, but that's one of the reasons why we're reaching out to the neighboring neighborhoods so that we can get more people involved and enjoy the event that's close by. So, Laura, one thing is I would love to do a screen share with the report, but the only thing is I actually, I'm on a different computer and I don't have that information readily accessible.
Okay.
So
So
maybe I
Well,
could
just do that for the governing board, and if you could just tell us give us some more information from the report.
yeah,
I'm looking at my email to see what I have, and I'm guessing that I'm not gonna be able to transfer it from my tablet to the computer either.
Yeah.
So just can do it quickly.
Yeah,
That's
so real quickly, I've gone to MacArthur Park Neighborhood Council and they approved for $3,000. Just FYI, we haven't received any of the checks because the payment process, it seems like it takes a long time. So MacArthur Park Neighborhood Council approved for $3,000, and then Olympic Park Neighborhood Council approved for $3,000, and then we had the Pico Union Neighborhood Council, they approved for $500, and then we have the Westlake North Neighborhood Council, they approved for $1,000, and actually the Wilshire Center Koreatown Neighborhood Council, since they're right within that boundaries of their neighbor council boundaries, we actually asked for $5,000, but they approved for $4,500. So I listed all the approvals on this sheet, but once again, we haven't received the checks, but hopefully everything will go through and we'll be receiving the funds within the next month or so.
Okay, so did that answer?
What is the amount that they're asking for us?
The request is for $3,000.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Right, and I will say that she has no right to a vote tonight because she's not here, but Candace did ask me to say that she thought that that would be too much
Okay.
for UNNC.
Yeah,
I agree.
all we're doing is
We're making a recommendation to the governing board, but
Right.
the bureaucratic thing is that whatever we put on the governing board agenda, we can't go higher than that. The governing board can go lower, but not higher.
I see.
So, yeah, so it's just a little balancing act here. So if we're like in firm agreement that with just the three of us, there's only three of us here
Right.
who can vote, that 3,000 is too much. Maybe we wanna recommend, I don't know, 1,500, but whatever the number is that we do recommend, that whatever gets printed on the governing board agenda, we cannot increase. Yeah.
Do we have any historical precedent for what we do for events outside of our boundaries?
Well, we have participated in, but not funded, the Taste of Seoul for years,
Okay,
well over a decade. I mean, but that, they have not asked us for money.
I see.
I don't think, the question that is usually asked is not, is it in your boundary, although that's an obvious, but rather, would our stakeholders go to it? You know, could they, would they, and is what we're being asked to do gonna help encourage them to go? So the request is asking for funds from us to help with the marketing to stakeholders.
Right.
So Yeah, so that's a reasonable purpose, but maybe 3,000 is too much. I mean, it's certainly too much for how we budget,
Right.
but is it also too much because it's outside the boundary? So we have funded for many years, several years as well, the, what's it called? The Martin Luther King Day,
Mhm.
you know, Ignited Light. They have an
Yes.
event at the Baldwin Hills Mall, which is about the same distance, actually, that this is from our edges, corners. And it's a completely different kind of event, but we have, over the last several years, except last year because we voted to fund it and then paperwork screw up, didn't fund it.
Okay.
But
Our intention was to.
the intention was to give them $1,250.
Okay.
One year we gave them 2,000, one year we gave them 500. I mean, in other words, the amounts have changed, but we have
Very.
done-
Well, I would
Definitely.
like to make a motion that we donate 1,500 for this event.
that we recommend to the governing board, 1,500.
Yes, recommend to the governing board. That's my motion.
I would be fine with that. I mean, the only other thing I would say is just we could make the recommendation to do the full 3,000 so that the governing board then has the.
Well, then yes, but then we're not really giving them advice.
Right, okay, then I would say 1,500. That fits within what we've done before
Right.
and.
Okay, so Paula moves to recommend to the governing board that we grant a NPG in the amount of 1,500 to the LA
Mhm.
Korea Festival.
I can second that.
Mhm.
I will second that.
I mean, I feel like when the person's chairing the meeting, they shouldn't be making.
Who seconded?
Michael.
Well, there's
Michael?
only 3 of us here, Paula, and I'm
Oh.
chairing the meeting. So
Okay.
for the most part, I'm gonna make the 2 of you do it if possible,
Perfectly fine.
Okay.
for whatever we do tonight, as best we can. So, okay, so that, the motion is basically 1,500. To recommend to the governing board, so Yona, you know how it works with neighborhood councils, then we take this on September 5, and you and I will discuss, we'll be far more prepared with exactly, a presentation that includes the answers to these questions in one single presentation document that includes the NPG itself. Okay, but all in favor, Paula, Michael, me, we're all voting yes, Paula is voting yes, okay.
Sorry, my hand's not in.
All right, the next item on the agenda.
Laura? Real
Yes.
quickly, I just wanted to make a comment. I wanted to say thank you so much. It really means a lot. And to be honest, I mean, financial is important, but what's even more important is we really would love for UNNC, for all of you guys to come. And
Yes.
also, if you could just get the word out there, because I feel like many of the neighborhoods, a lot of families, they can't really afford to go to a nice concert or enjoy like state-of-the-art performances. But that's where we really come in. We want to make free concerts, enjoyable music, dance performances available to everyone, not just those people who can afford it. So I just want to say thank you once again. And lastly, Laura, 20 years and 20 years more, but I
Yes.
appreciate all the work that you do throughout everything. And I feel like people come and go, but I just get so encouraged every time I see you because you persevere and you are resilient. So I want to thank you, and I thank you everyone for letting me speak tonight.
Okay, and
Thank
Yona,
you.
could you stop the screen share, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
And I'll see you guys at the September meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Feel free to actually come to the the Jazz Under the Stars that weekend.
Oh, okay.
And bring some of your handouts, whether, I don't know if we can do it at the UNNC table, but I can put them at our other table, at the
Oh.
West table.
I'm sorry, when is it? When is the event?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night of Labor Day weekend. I'll send you the information.
Okay,
But-
got it.
But feel free to enjoy the music and meet people and have some flyers and brochures.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you. I'll try to drop by definitely.
And I'll send you the info.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Your Hunter's ready to go.
Hey guys.
Hi, do I need to, and it's fine, to make you also a co-host? You have images or anything to share on this?
Yeah, I can do that. I'll just pull them up from our email.
Okay. So, just FYI, I don't know if it's pertinent or not. You had said something in your email to me that included the phrase business cards. I don't know if you meant printing old-fashioned paper business cards or if it was something else, but we do have money in the budget, Candace believes, already top of the line, can do that without any further ado.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so I just wanted to pitch up to $500 for communication tools. This is really largely the iPad that I think would help in a lot of different ways, such as bringing it to these outreach or just neighborhood events that we have that can help people to sign up for our mailing list. It could also just be like a hub for everything that we need, communications and otherwise for UNNC, place to store all of our documents, passwords, things like that to simplify things. I am including business cards in that. So I met with Raheem a couple of weeks ago, who gave me some physical tools that UNNC Communications Committee has, such as yard signs and these digital business cards called like dot something. But that being said, I know I've spoken to a few people on the committee in past months who have mentioned wanting physical business cards for themselves, anticipating not needing too many, and we will use Print Depot for those. But I just wanted to get a whole round $500 number, just in case we have any more of these communication tools, one-ups that follow over the next few months. So we wouldn't have to keep getting them approved. But good to know that you already have those business cards in the bucket.
Okay, so meantime, talk about tablets, because I know you sent me information.
Yeah, so I have a couple here. Let me see.
And this is something you talked about at your committee last week, correct?
Yeah, so I talked about it at my committee, and just like different needs for the iPads, and we came up with a few different ones. I say iPad, but I really mean tablet. I think an iPad would be best because, sorry, I'm trying to pull up my screen here too. I think an iPad would be best because it also would connect to a lot of other devices that we use. And it's also just ease of use for both us and members of the community who are going to be asking, type down their names and stuff. So I think that would probably be best. I can go and get a refurbished one. That's fine with me. We don't need anything really state of the art here. We don't need like a iPad Max or something. Trying to stall because my computer is not wanting to share my screen. Let's try this now. Here we go. Okay, share. So do you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, so here are some, I just pulled a couple options here. You can see they really are way lower than this $500 budget. I'm not trying to get all the way up to 500. I just imagine we might need things like a case or a keyboard for it that range for about $60 each. And I just wanted to throw a little leeway in there in case we needed more things like business cards. Another thing that was brought up was like yard signs. We have a few of them. I don't know the cost of yard signs or if Print Depot, is that even something that they do? If we could get a couple more, I think that would be cool. But if that's not in this $500 budget, then that's something that we can do much later down the line because I don't think that's a huge priority.
Okay, so I have here in this room, for anyone who wants to look, this is a Galaxy Tab A7 Lite.
Okay. Stop your share, please.
Sure.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, I just happened to, one of the ones on Hunter's list was a Galaxy A7 or A7 Lite. So I'm just saying,
Yep.
I brought mine. This is what I carry around all the time.
I didn't realize that was what you used too, Laura. That's funny.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're really, nicely sized. Yes, you want to have a padded, I don't know if you can see this, folder, because this is my second tablet, because the first one fell and cracked. And, so you want to have.
So the basic point of this would be that you would bring it to something and people would enter in their own,
Yes.
contact information.
Yeah, so that's the main use that I've come across so far. I know right now we have like paper lists that people sign up for our email lists with, and then me, has to go in and put those
Right,
150
chicken
to 100
scratch.
names or whatever into, yeah, like, and try to decipher their chicken scratch. So this would just be
Uh.
an easy way to do it and a way to also ensure that members aren't signing up for our email list and then being put on 3 weeks later, you know?
Does we're using, MailChimp?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does
Yep.
Pip have a native app that they just can enter it in, or do we have to have some other, like, the website pulled up, or?
Yeah, so they'll have MailChimp has like forms that you can put out, like basically a Google form that you just enter and then it'll just take your information and put it into your MailChimp. So they do have
Yeah, but don't we
a
have it,
specific app, I'm not sure, but they have a web page where you can just do it right there.
And then-
Hunter, but don't we have it through our webpage? How we used to do it, I think, was have our, in effect, because we used to have 2 tablets.
Mhm.
They've
Yeah, so
walked,
Teresa
we
was
don't know where
mentioning
they
these
are.
tablets. If we knew where they are, I don't need a tablet, but
Well, they have
apparently we don't.
truly, Hunter, they've walked. They walked during COVID.
Yeah.
They walked away. It's a long story. They're just gone. And they were old at that point. They were probably purchased in 2014. But how they were used is, I think, what's relevant. And how they were used is that they were logged into our website. And on our website, as you probably know, there's right on the bottom of the homepage, there's a join the mailing list. So they were basically at that jump page. They were already logged to the join the mailing list jump page. And a person could just fill it out there. So that's the mail, and it is a form, and you put in, you've seen the MailChimp. If you look up the individual people, you'll see their name, their email, where they live, what their interests are. I mean, they're able to say what kind of emails they want to get. Well, that's a dumb field because they get all of them or none of them, obviously. They get all of them until they unsubscribe, and then they get none of them. But they ask what region. They don't always necessarily pick the right region, but they give us their address, and we hope we can correlate that. And then Doug kind of over at Ann Zumwinkle's, Doug will occasionally go in and clean that out, but not often. I mean, he could do it a little more often. So that's the opposite. The clean out is the opposite of what you're trying to do. You're trying to get
like of duplicates?
I'm not sure. He may be doing some sort of testing on the email addresses. I mean, he will look in if it's an obvious. I mean, sometimes we see these email addresses that are trying to do spam spoof, all that stuff, and then they go away immediately. They sign up and then they are disappeared by him quickly. So, I don't know how often he's looking, but it's often enough that those are gone. Because we don't want them cluttering up our list, obviously. I don't know what they could do with the list, but we don't want them there. So, and if somebody has an email that's just a bunch of letters and numbers strung together at Gmail, if that's their real Gmail, they probably get thrown out. They're the baby that gets thrown out with the bathwater.
Yeah, right.
It looks too suspicious. So anyway, a little tablet like this, I mean, they're not that expensive, but the question is, how do they operate when we're out in the field? Will they also, they're not gonna have their own phone number. So is the board member who's carrying it around, or the outreach person, will they need to have a mobile hotspot on their own phone? I mean, how is it gonna work?
It could, I mean, for things, that's actually a good question. For getting right to the website, if we were at like Leslie Shaw Park or something like that, I'm not sure if they would provide Wi-Fi. So we would probably have to go into a hotspot, which my phone has, or connect to a local Wi-Fi if there was one. I was not going to get one that uses data though, because that would be expensive and unnecessary. I was just going to do a Wi-Fi one. If we do events that are in inside places, it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, things at like the park, I'm actually not sure. I know we could connect to a hotspot, but that's not ideal.
It's entirely possible that MailChimp has a native app specifically for this purpose, Because
While you're out and about.
Yeah, it
But you
strikes me
still
as.
have to have Wi-Fi. right?
Well, I think that it would just sort of write it to its local storage, and then when you got back online, it would then sync up.
Oh,
I would.
Mhm.
I,
That makes
I'm
sense.
speculating of functionality, but that would be an easy to do, and it seems well within the use case of
The scope of something that they would think about, because yeah, we can't be the first people to have an issue like that.
Yeah, totally. And if not, I would be amazed if we couldn't find a free app that was like that. That
To just
basically
store
worked
information
offline.
or something, like a Google form or something.
okay, so here's my question. Just in case we do need to have a mobile hotspot, and it's a Wi-Fi hotspot, not a phone data hotspot, right? That's what you're basically saying?
No,
We-
no, no. I was saying like worst case scenario, I could hook it up to like my phone hotspot, which wouldn't be a problem, but is not really ideal because that would require me to be there every time, or just not an ideal situation.
No, that's what I think. It wouldn't be. And I mean, because again, I walk around with my tablet and I'm either sometimes lucky enough to use the local Wi-Fi. More often, I'm on mobile data, which is expensive if I go over. It's hard to go over, but if I do, it's expensive. Or I use my hotspot, right? So UNNC used to have a mobile hotspot. Again, that's even more years ago. More years ago. But we used to have a mobile hotspot. It was a Wi-Fi hotspot, and we paid an annual fee. How we got it, I don't know.
Are we paying that still?
No.
Okay.
And it was a physical device. And we haven't had, I don't know where it is, I haven't seen it in years. I think it kind of went away. We used to use it at meetings when we were trying to project, like planning and zoning items. So here's a picture of the place. But now everybody has a phone. When more and more people had smartphones, we stopped using the mobile, Wi-Fi hotspot.
I see.
But I'm guessing they still exist, and I wonder how expensive or non-expensive they are.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be the number one option. I feel like Michael said, there are probably works around in-app that wouldn't require us buying another device.
With an annual subscription and everything, I think that probably gets overly, like, just
Right.
another thing we need to worry about,
Right.
recurring billing and whatever.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I mean, nothing that's monthly billing, let's just say it that way. If there was
Mhm.
something with annual billing and it wasn't too expensive, we have a lot of things with annual billing and it's doable. Monthly would be a nightmare, and it is a nightmare because we pay public storage monthly and we have to remember it all the time. And get warning emails sometimes because two of us are involved. Okay, so the other thing is the what's not happening enough at all of our outreach events. We used to be carrying around with us just a piece of plexi, laminated paper that was, if you scan this, what do they call it?
QR code.
QR code, it would take you to that same page on our website. So you
Oh,
on
yep.
your own phone, right then and there, could sign up because you just
So I
have-
actually just got a bunch of those from Raheem when I saw him.
Right.
So it's a bunch of different cards and little buttons that you could tap on people's phones that will direct you to really any web page or any link that you want it to go to. So we were talking about how to best use these last week. And I thought of a way, essentially what you're saying, Laura, is to attach them to some sort of plexiglass or wood or something, and then community members can come and just tap their phone or scan the QR code.
Yeah, it was really very simple. We just printed out the QR code on a piece of white paper and had it laminated. So it's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, but it was a little stiffer, and had it sitting on the table. That's probably sitting in storage. We had 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, that's
Teresa-
something I can recreate easily.
Right,
Mhm.
Teresa has her hand up.
Thank you, Laura. I just want to remind everybody that our flag does have a QR code on there, and we do have a laminated piece that has a QR code. Both of them go connect to the website, not to the MailChimp sign up, but there is a pathway for people to get information through a QR code.
Mm.
Right, so these are all good ideas. I'm not saying do that instead of a tablet. You know, because the idea with the tablet is to avoid having signups on a handwritten mailing list, correct?
That
Yeah,
somebody
and
has
I
to
mean,
go back and input.
oh yeah, exactly. And also, I mean, I know that once we have it, we'll find 12 other uses for it throughout our day to day, taking events, taking photos at events, taking videos, using things like as a second screen at board meetings and things like that. So I think there'll be a return on investment on it for sure. But yeah, mainly honestly, time saver for people, getting people onto the email list for sure.
Okay. So, and I do know we had a bunch of signups, is this true? And Teresa probably has a better idea, at the Jefferson Park Resources Fair, but I'm
Yep,
not.
they're all in.
Yes, that list was given to Hunter
I have
and he
it.
has uploaded them all to
Okay.
MailChimp. That's how why he's speaking so eloquently about how arduous it is to, put that in.
Right, so, because I saw that the list kind of jumped from 965 to 1,002 or 3. So the good news with that is that MailChimp accepted it, because in the past, sometimes they threw it in the other side of the list where they're not automatically added to getting our emails. So this came in bona fide, so that was good. So that's the other key thing, is making sure whoever signs up, however they do it, it's considered a bona fide sign up.
I see. Okay.
Let's give this no more than one more minute.
Sure. So, Teresa has her hand up, and then Hunter, I want to know if there's any other marketing tools that you wanted, but let's Teresa speak.
Okay, I'll just be quick. I just want to say that those dots cost $200. So however we want to use them, it was,
That these things.
yes. So let's
Mhm.
just try to keep track of those and, recognize that was a large expense to just purchase those 12 dots.
Okay, well, one of them is sitting on the computer for reasons I'm not clear.
We were left that there. We were going over it last time
Okay, well, it's
because I
sitting
wanted
right
you
there.
guys.
Okay. It's cute. All right, and so are there any other physical marketing tools? I mean, in other words, we can do a BAC for a tablet up to X when we get to governing board. I am not, and we can also do a separate BAC for printing. At Print Depot and we can sort of generically say marketing communications materials. But what we can't do is just have a broad BAC for anything you wish to purchase, because
Right. Well, so
no
I
counts.
want to go to the governing board next month and say, hey, I have all of these dot cards.
Mhm.
I know that a lot of you already have physical business cards. Is there anybody who needs them? And I can't imagine that it's going to be more than half of the people, so I don't think it'll be a large purchase. I wanted to put that there though, so we didn't have to go back to executive board the following month to get that approved, since I haven't yet gone to the governing board and asked who actually needs cards and
Yeah, I
gotten a
understand.
quote of how many
The
it'll need.
printing of the business cards does not require a governing board vote, so long as
Okay,
we don't
yep.
see. Candace thinks it's $400. So when she's back from her unexpectedly late flight, meaning late tonight, she's gonna look at her computer to see what that number is.
Okay, and yeah, hopefully it
does
won't be
not
$400 because I
Let
don't
me
think
just say-
everybody will need them.
Let me just say it this way, the printing of business cards does not need an executive motion. If we removed the dollars from our budget to balance the budget, we might have in early July, we can still go straight to governing board with that request, because it's just a standard request. So that's separate from the tablet. We can't put printing and something physical on the same BAC. The printing BAC is one thing. Printing
Okay.
marketing materials is different than printing business cards, and buying a tablet is different than both those things. But my question was there any other marketing tool? That's why I was kind of pushing on, do we need
Nope.
some sort of hotspot? Because that
No,
would be.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think we would need to get a hotspot.
All right, so what's the maximum you think a tablet would cost?
If I was just asking for the tablet, I would say 400.
That includes the case.
That would
including,
include the case. Yes, I'm sorry. Other marketing things would just be truly a case. I was trying to get a case and keyboard that are in one. So that would together probably be about 400.
I know,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I make the motion to,
up to 400.
up to $400 for the purchase of a tablet and case.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? It's passed. All right.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna go really quickly. Number 5 on the agenda, I had written, it's sort of really generic, possible establishment of a UNNC youth representative or ambassador position. You know, this is follow-up to last month's conversation. Discuss how to better engage youth with UNNC, including the possible creation of a non-board seat, youth representative, and a possible recommendation of a candidate to appoint to this position. So I think we need to stick to step 1. I mean, we just have to layer this out. But I also realize that the best word would be youth advocate, and maybe it's youth advocates, plural. You know, create some, you know, the ability to have a youth advocate or more than one. What do you think, Paula?
I think that's a great. When I first came onto the board, we had some youth advocacy, and I don't know what happened. It kind of disappeared.
Yeah, because it always, the problem with the youth anything is it always takes an adult who's not a youth to chair a committee and do stuff, but they're an adult, they're not a youth. And then we checked with Dunn, we checked our bylaws, Teresa and I checked our bylaws, and then thought, oh, this might be a mistake, and we checked with Dunn, and it's not a mistake, but somehow we changed our bylaws. We used to allow someone age 16 to join the board. But now we have a limitation on age 18. We still have a sentence in our bylaws that anyone who's not yet 18 can't vote on funding matters, you know, anything to do with money. So that's why we thought maybe Dunn made a change that we didn't know. But apparently we made a change, not we who's on the board now, but some we of us somehow made a change in the bylaws at some time to change what we used to have to being that we can't have a board member at this point. And we'll talk a little more about that later in this meeting, but I have learned that neighborhood councils who do have youth board members are having trouble filling the slots anyway, because young people end up rather busy. So it would probably be better not to have a board seat per se anyway, so we don't have quorum issues. But anyway, do we want to recommend to the governing board that we start the process of creating a youth advocate kind of position or positions? And Teresa has her hand up.
Thank you, Laura. Yes, I just wanted to be clear on that. We do have, it may be inactive, but we have a youth committee. So if we were to have a youth committee, we could have young people on that, but I know that you're discussing a youth advocate. I'm not sure if that would,
Well, it's just a word
because you have a person in mind for that, for the youth advocate. So, and also keep in mind that coming up, we're going to be talking about a council motion that specifically will allow neighborhood councils to have youth on their boards. So I just wanted to remind everybody.
Teresa, I know. I mean, we're going to get to that. So if we want to hold this till that discussion, that's fine. But again, I've already taken a look at a number of comments about that motion. And it seems that the trouble with youth board positions, politics aside, is keeping them filled. You know, meaning not straining your board resources with vacant positions.
Well, I would recommend that we have.
But that's a different board. It's, you know, so I'm sorry I have these in 2 different spots, but one of them is about what we could do right now, and the other is about what position we might be taking related to a board, city council motion that may or may not ever be finalized, and certainly that'll be a 1 or 2 year process. It's not something that could happen now anyway. So this one here is about, should we, you know, possibly have something whether it's a youth representative, a youth ambassador, a youth advocate, the title, I don't know, but what are we recommending the board? And Paula, you were about to speak.
I was about to say yes. We
Okay.
should endeavor to get the youth involved.
Okay.
As a non-board member, but
Okay. So we would
a representative for the youth.
Okay, so, and obviously if we recreate a youth committee with a adult chair, presumably it doesn't mean we'd want more than one youth on that committee.
Yes,
That's a separate thing. That would be part of the responsibility. If you were the person appointed to be the youth advocate or one of UNNC's youth advocates, your job responsibility as a volunteer would be to participate in that committee, among other things.
yes.
Also bring to us, your thoughts on whatever we're asking you to bring your thoughts on. I need a motion.
Oh, I didn't make one?
We need a okay, I'm gonna suggest a motion that the executive committee recommends to the governing board that it creates a non-board position for a youth representative,
Yes.
and that we explore what the actual title is. Is it representative? Is it ambassador? Is it advocate? But let the board, we can explore that. And that's it. Not recommend anybody to that position yet. So that's the motion.
No.
Recommend to the board that we create a non-board youth representative position and determine what the right name of the position is.
Right, and then so I will second that with the implicit understanding that we would discuss at the later date how people get appointed to and
Oh,
review
no,
from this.
Right.
Sorry,
No, it's like,
I was trying not to bog us down.
no, that's right. So I think we have to baby step it. I think at a later time, we'll determine how someone's appointed and how someone is removed. We can't know that. If the board doesn't want to do it at all, then forget about it. I think we would have to add it to the standing rules, because we're not adding it to the bylaws. We can't amend the bylaws.
Right.
So this would be the first step, and then if the board says yes, then for the next executive committee, we'll come back with a larger description of how to appoint, how to unappoint, what their duties would be. Because obviously, I think a young person who wants the task, they want it for their resume, so it needs to have a description anyway.
Fair enough.
Okay, so
I second that motion.
yeah, I made the motion, and Michael seconded.
Okay.
And any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
I.
And sneak.
Michael's in. And just for clarity, we'll put it on the September agenda, but it'll be low on the agenda, so it may end up tabled. But we'll still come back either way to executive to discuss the larger picture. If we don't get to it at governing board, we'll just give a more complete report the following month.
Yes.
Okay, next item again is something we may or may not have to do, but I got a request from basically a guy doing an art project. This is with Council District 10. So this is an arts organization, small arts organization, is attempting to work with Council District 10 and the West Adams Heights Sugar Hill Neighborhood Association on an art event that would take place on November 23rd and 24th on Washington Boulevard at Kingsley. So oddly enough, that's actually on the Harvard Heights side, not the West Adams Heights side. But we were asked to do a support letter. So my first question is, when we're asked to do a letter to the council office, blah, 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 we would support this activity. Do we need to take that to the board? Or is the president already empowered to write such letters?
I would prefer to bring it before the board.
Well, Okay, then.
I want the whole board to understand what it is we're doing and support it or deny it.
Okay. So obviously I don't have full information at this meeting, but it would need to go onto the agenda, so I would need more information. Teresa, your hand's up?
Yes, I agree with Paul, and if we could ask the artist to come in so the board can
Sure.
ask questions, thanks.
Yeah, so is it okay for us to not make a recommendation tonight, but go ahead and move this forward to the governing board?
It's okay.
And let the governing board just decide with a presentation, just decide.
Yep.
Because it's hard for us. I didn't get a call back from Council District 10, and I didn't get a call back from Billy Green at West Downside Sugar Hill to find out what it was that triggered their need for getting support letters. So that's why I'm sort of blah, blah, blah. I put it on the agenda because of the timing, but neither of those entities contacted me back to tell me what it was they were looking for. So I'll get all that together. We'll put it on the agenda. If there's nothing to tell, it'll come off the agenda.
Right.
Okay.
So just pass it
Okay.
on.
All right. Okay, here we are. Why two people are here tonight. We have a vacant governing board seat. We have one at-large representative seat. At the moment, we have 2 applicants for that seat. And we also have other vacant seats, for good or bad, but neither of these candidates are eligible for the other vacant seats.
Okay.
And did we already discuss whether it was possible for someone that was at large to slide into an available?
Well, any one of us, yeah, because both you and Hunter will, Dennis Leskey's seat, but then you'd have to run again. Dennis Leskey's seat, which expires on July 30th, 2025, so it's up for election,
Okay.
is the Harvard Heights. So you and Hunter are both eligible for that.
Okay.
I'm eligible for the seat I actually won, but there were only 3 votes, which was the vacant area 1. But I think everyone would be rather pissed off if I said a year ago, oh, I don't need to run, go ahead and appoint me to a at-large seat. So the city clerk forced me to run even though I already had a seat.
Right.
But now if I said, well, wait a minute, I'll take the seat that doesn't expire, that's gonna piss people off, because then I still won't be running. I mean,
You're
you know, it just doesn't look right.
right.
And it isn't right, even though I won, but Teresa knows this is a joke. I won by 3 votes, because only 3 people voted. I was not one of them.
Okay, let's move on. Keep going.
Okay, so we have 2 people here, who can each introduce themselves. And, but the question's gonna be, Teresa, you have your hand up. And you're not one of the 2 people, but that's okay, go ahead.
Yes, because I didn't see both applications in the agenda packet. So I don't know how, I mean, maybe Paula and Michael
I'm gonna
know something
technic-
I don't, but I was unable to read the applicant applications.
I understand, and there seems to have been a technical error. I had uploaded both, but only one got uploaded. I do have both candidates here. I do have their applications that I can share screen. So my question is, it's not a violation of the Brown Act. It is unfortunate because Teresa wanted to read the one that was missing. Yeah. Is that so the question is, should we go ahead and do our candidate interviews and then decide what to do? They're both here.
Right. That seems the best use of their time.
Yes.
And since they're here, they should at least introduce themselves.
And should I, how do I flip the coin to decide who goes first and which screen share I should start with?
Just choose.
Okay. I should say alphabetical order.
Sure.
So it's almost 8:30.
Oh, well, David, why don't we take you first? Because Ever says we can. And I'm gonna pull up your application. And this is David Osai. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, David Osai. Thank you.
And Okay, I'm just,
Yeah, got to scroll
That's-
down.
there we go, I know. I was just clicking to see if I could find my little thing.
Okay.
Yes, here we go. David, introduce yourself, please. Say hello.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to kind of listen in and just see how you all try to do the work that you do. My name is David Osek. I've been in Los Angeles for about 11 years now. Always kind of been someone who's been apt to, reach out for community involvement or engagement. Outside of my 9 to 5, I do a lot of like panels for youth, kind of working with a mentorship group that I have worked with in the past, and also volunteer with the Santa Monica Boys and Girls Club Advisory Council. So as I was doing some research more recently, I learned about the neighborhood councils and saw the UNNC and learned that obviously being in Region 5, it looked like it would be an amazing thing to try to be a part of. So just wanted to submit this application as I learned there was an at-large seat, and also had touched base with Hunter after I had found his name on some of the other documents, just to ask him about his experience, kind of learn more about what you all are doing. He shared with me, I think one of the projects he was working on, trying to get like more shade at certain bus stops or things like that. Like, I think that a lot of those things that sometimes can be overlooked can be really fulfilling, just trying to help with your community and just provide that time however I could. So yeah, just open to any questions that the team may have, and was looking forward to potentially being able to assist you with the work that you do.
So I have a question. As I'm sharing the screen, I'm reminded of my question. So what is a business development lead?
Yeah, so my current position, I work for an agency called 1826. And long story short, they produce a lot of different musical tours. Like this year, we did some stages at Coachella and also some experiential kind of events. So like if there's Pepsi trying to, maybe do an activation for fans in an area, we'll help them kind of coordinate the logistics and staffing and planning for that. So as a business development manager, I will reach out to different brands or advertising agencies and people who might potentially need our services. And I also work as a producer, kind of a hybrid role there. So when we bring in business, I'll kind of help facilitate everything from, the bookings, facilitation of different contracts and vendors and talent, et cetera, as we, kind of shape out those different projects.
I do not.
Uh-oh. Teresa, do you have any questions? I'm still scrolling through this for everyone to
Thank you
read.
for that, Laura. Yes, David, I saw in your application that you're interested in trees. I happen to be the chair of the tree committee. We haven't had a meeting yet.
Oh,
I
wow.
finally got that committee going. But do you love nature? Are you an environmentalist also? Or you just noticed that you didn't have a lot of trees in our
Yeah, I
neighborhood?
wouldn't say an environmentalist just because I want to give honor to the people who do enough work to be called one, but I'm an only child. So I always tell people I've oftentimes in class work, I'll kind of pretend my friends are siblings. So I had some friends who were more into that side of things and shared with me different like replenishing efforts and other things of that nature. And I'm also I was born in Texas and grew up in Washington State. So, obviously a lot of trees in that area. But I mean, even here, I kind of find it fun. When I have a random business lunch or something, I'll go through a random neighborhood that almost makes me forget I'm in Los Angeles, which is kind of fun to me just to see different things like that. So when I have the chance, like there was a employee resource group that I worked with at a previous company, and we were able to get like an investment to kind of do one of those like matches for like, you buy a tree, or we're going to have one planted on your behalf. So just little things like that I've kind of looked into in the past, but, definitely like to learn more and kind of, volunteer if I do find some other relevant things to spend my time with.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, was it mentioned, what neighborhood do you live in?
I live in Jefferson Park, so I'm in Region 5. And I also used to live a few years back in Region, I want to say it's 2, like mid-city, like 4th in Washington. So just really loved the area, since I've kind of moved here. I'd say about 3 years total in this district.
If only you lived in Region 1 still, because that seat's been vacant for so
Oh,
long.
wow. That's funny. I'm like, okay, I'll check the apartment listings when we're ready to, move.
Okay, Paula, do you have any questions? for
No, I
David?
don't. Thank you for applying, and
Stop this.
I think our time together would be beneficial and productive.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, everyone.
Okay, don't go away.
No, I'm still here, just wanted to,
Okay.
that's all.
Okay, and then, Eber. He's here in the room, so let's see how we do that. You might.
I think once he starts talking.
If you start talking, yeah, you just kind of have to not stop talking.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Once again, thank you for having me. My name is Eber Martinez. I live in Region 6, right down on Adams and Manhattan. I've lived there since I was 12, 13 years old, and I grew up in this area. I got interested in being part of the neighborhood council because of the work that I do. I work for a nonprofit called Soledad Enrichment Action. I work in the District 9 area of Los Angeles with Councilmember Price. And I saw that there was a neighborhood council, and I saw the work that they did, the stuff that they were able to do. And it got me interested in working in my own neighborhood, seeing what we could do, seeing the issues that our area also faces and stuff. It just really got me interested in being involved in my local area more than anything. I'm also available to answer any questions that you may have. And then there's also different stuff that I wrote also if you need any clarification on that.
Okay, so I want to take a minute or two so Teresa, who wanted to read your thing, has a chance to read this. So
Yeah,
Teresa.
I've been reading it as you scroll through, Laura.
Right, I know, so that's what I'm saying, but I have only scrolled to the second page.
Okay,
So I'm saying I want to, unlike the other one, I want to, there we go, just take a minute or two so those who didn't have a chance to read this yet can read it. And again, I apologize. I'm guessing what happened is that it was a failed upload. I didn't check.
okay.
You good?
Yep.
No, I'm asking Michael.
Oh, sorry. All about me, Laura.
Well, I didn't say that. Okay. Can't believe it's 8:37. Right?
Okay, thank you very much, Laura.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stop the share. Okay. So, any questions?
None?
Uh-oh. Well, I guess my question would be, because you've been here a long time, but you're just now
Yes.
saying, like, maybe I should get involved with the neighborhood council. So had you not known that UNNC existed, or, I mean, you're young, so I don't expect an 8-year-old to pay attention, but is it literally only because of the work you did in CD9 that you then figured out there must be a neighborhood council where you live too?
Yeah, I had no idea that UNNC existed. As I see the logo and stuff, I think I got a mailer once about something. But yeah, and then before the pandemic, I wasn't even involved with like the job that I have now. I was, traveling around and stuff. But ever since the pandemic, a lot of it has been about what I can do for others more than anything. And it has just opened that door of like, where can I best serve, where can I best help? And yeah, I mean, I saw what we could do at like City 9 and the way that they're involved and everything. Like I was involved in National Night Out. I wanted to come here because I saw on the YouTube that you guys were gonna be there and stuff. But we were doing National Night Out over there, and I wanted to come and see how it was like here. I got here a little bit later. I think you guys had already left. But I did meet our council member, Heather. I saw one of our old supervisors, which is their field rep, Eric. He used to work with Rid, and so we kind of touched base on that, and it just kind of again opened that door of like, like this is a good opportunity to help in my area and the actual issues that I see in my area too.
So I have a question for both of you, David and for Ever. Have you looked, have you explored the UNNC website and looked to see what committees we have? And if yes, what committees would you be interested in participating in? Because there's only one position available on the board, but we have these active committees. So I'm hoping both of you have committees you'd be interested in too. So I'm going to go to David first.
Just unmute here. Yeah, there's a few that had looked interesting to me. Again, kind of similar to Eber, I wasn't aware of the UNNC. So after I was just kind of dug in and began looking into different opportunities. So for myself, I would say that I would be open to any of the committees from Recreation and Parks, Tree Committee, Environmental, Economic Development. Also learned that there was a committee that works to forgive me if I'm mistaking it, but either gathers recommendations or communicates with the city council to understand, different things that our council would like to recommend. So that seemed really interesting just to kind of learn more about that overall process. Because for me, a big thing is essentially just improving the lives of the people within the community. So like that can kind of be done on any one of those, if it was a matter of working with a certain committee to just help out and learn as I, kind of figure out where I wanted to pour more energy into over time. But yeah, I would say there's at least a half dozen of those that looked interesting to me that I would be committed to joining. Yeah.
For myself, based on like the work that I do, I think that I would be very interested in working with the outreach committee, just because I do a lot of outreach at work, and so I know that whether it's tabling or whether it's just talking to people, it's really something that I can gravitate to and really make a considerable contribution to the board. But I've also, I sat in on the communications, and I think those kind of go hand in hand. The elections one, I don't know if that's possible. Logistics and stuff.
Well, all three of those will have to exist this year, but it's, elections and outreach may end up being the same.
Yeah, so, like I said, those are things that I've done for work, and so I'm comfortable doing that. I do that at church, like outreach and stuff. I'm very outgoing, and it's something that I'm passionate about, basically just letting the people know of what we have, the resources that they have, and that there is something that they should have an interest if they do have concerns, and not just the people, but also the businesses and everything. During the pandemic, I was one of the community health workers that was able to talk with businesses about getting their employees, be designated as essential employees and vaccinations and all this other stuff. So I did a lot of that type of work, and so outreach would be definitely good. I've worked at CD9. We did our own little community garden for the projects and stuff. So, I feel like I could fit in everywhere. But if I had like a choice, or all things being equal, I would definitely, consider outreach and stuff like that.
All right, so for Paula and Michael, what we normally do, but there's no normal. Normal is just based on the past, and as we've been listening this week, we're looking forward to the future. So what the executive committee normally does is picks one, but both have a chance to talk to the board. I'm not comfortable picking one. Are either of you?
Nor am I.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wish we had two positions, but I feel like both of our applicants are qualified. And I think we move forward to the board. What do you think?
I would agree. So you were still trying to get, even if the position is not available for one, like we only have one position available, but you still wanted them to be, whoever didn't get that one position to be active.
Well, I want both of them to be active.
Right, so then,
and Teresa's gonna have her hand.
Well, even being involved in committees is still good, and eventually there's going to be something to open up. So
That was the point I was making, is that, whomever doesn't get it for whatever reason, I think that
don't be dismayed.
2
We
years.
want you.
Oh, we have had so many vacancies.
Yeah, there's regular vacancies, so I would imagine that whatever would be short-lived.
Right. Teresa?
Thank you. So I'm just thinking about the governing board and how long it's going to take if we have to not just interview two candidates, but then also vote. Which one do we vote for first? Which one do we vote for second? Will it be a close vote. And
Yes,
I'm going
can we
to
just
advocate.
all say that it's not fun to have to make a choice in public?
Yeah, and yes, and as a person who formerly sat on the executive, I really think you guys need to present something to the board instead of putting that responsibility on us to spend 30 minutes going back and forth on this. This is my 2 cents.
I'm more than happy to give up my at-large and move to,
Except for you give up 2 years.
uh,
The position that you have now goes till
Right.
2027, and the position that you're moving to goes to 2025,
2025.
so you'd be running again. So that, it'd be Hunter's in a position that has to run anyway.
right. Oh, okay. I mean, we could
You have, but
certainly,
he's not here.
right. So I mean, to that end, we could have that conversation with Hunter.
Yeah.
And then, table making any decision now with the hope that we can just get you both into one at-large.
Yeah.
Right, so we're having a quiet little secretive conversation, which was inappropriate.
That's public.
But
yes.
in other words, what we're talking about is maybe deferring this a month, having a conversation with that other board member who
Uh-oh.
at-large position that will expire at the same time as the open seat.
Right. So it's
So
essentially
it's a no
Okay.
change. But
So-
but that person's not present, so we can't ask them.
Right.
So that defers this decision maybe to another month. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, both of you have outreach because it doesn't go to some of the other committee meetings and meet people on the Zoom or in person, and then B, we might have 2 positions if we can succeed in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, certainly from my side, you both seem more than qualified and we would love to have you. So I think make it so that you could both
Yes,
participate.
well, and my goal is not to be in a position of picking any person thing. So if that's okay, even though there was sort of a promise that we'd hit you on September 5th, that instead of you.
Is that okay,
Well,
David?
maybe- Well,
Yeah, that's fine
okay,
with me.
let's do this for
That all
tonight.
sounds great.
Yeah, but let's do this for tonight, in case we didn't manage to get 2 positions. Can we do a motion that we find both of them to be qualified for at-large
Yes.
seats, so that if we end up having 2 positions, we don't actually have to come back to this board? We still have to defer the governing board meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
That'd
Yes,
be-
let's do that.
Okay,
I made that.
Is that a motion you just made?
that's a
Yes,
motion, Mike.
I made it.
Okay,
Mike
then I
made.
second it.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, so you understand what we did, which may not work out and may work out, but what we did is agree that you're both qualified, and if we end up having 2 positions, that's what we say to the board. But if we only have 1 position, we will have to make some sort of
We'll have
decision.
to take a vote.
But in the meantime, if you take a look at our schedule for the month of.
Yeah, I've been coming to. this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna-
and also come on out for the Jazz Under the Stars, Labor Day weekend. Meet, if you can.
Yeah, is there a way that maybe, I don't know, you could put that in the agenda? You could do a meet and greet with the board on September 5th? Not so they could make a decision, but they could meet us at least.
Okay, so Paula, the question here is, for the September 5th board meeting, if we do like from 6:30 to 7, some sort of meet and greet?
Oh, before the board meeting, yes, or
Right.
within the agenda, just, state.
A lot of people kind of walk in kind of like right before 7, but we
Yeah.
wouldn't want at 7 because barely get through.
Within the agenda, state the
Yeah.
qualifications and,
Well, just a meet and greet, but we'll discuss it, because maybe it'd be nice to have that every once in a while, just not a meet and greet
Anyway.
just of you 2 alone.
Right.
But come early, we'll have some non-alcoholic cocktails
kind of yeah, that could be an outreach opportunity. Yes.
Exactly. Okay, we'll do that as well. Okay, we have 11 minutes, so I'm gonna be a little bit problem getting through the rest of this.
I think we can do it quickly, Laura, if you don't mind me jumping in.
Sure.
So number 8, recently Laura and I and the board approved our bylaws, and then Dunn gave the final approval. Well, we need to make our standing rules compliant. So I'm recommending that the executive committee go to the governing board and ask for an ad hoc committee to review the standing rules to make them in sync with our bylaws. That's the first one. The second one, Prop K.
Wait.
Okay.
Let's take that action. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So moved. Who's seconding?
Second.
Let's vote. And what we're voting on is recommending to the governing board that we create a new ad hoc committee, or renewed, because it could be the same people, to review the UNNC standing rules for compliance, but it would be through an ad hoc committee.
Okay.
All in favor? Okay.
Great, thank
Go
you.
on.
So the next one, Council File 240862 is about Prop K. Prop K funds have been depleted. These funds were used to do some of the renovations on the South Seas House. And I know we don't have a CIS committee, and I am no longer.
Let's stop a second. Where we're sitting now, the South Seas House. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Laura. So I know I'm no longer chair of the Recreation Park. I could probably get a letter together, but the goal is to submit a letter of support for Prop K to be refunded and maybe use those funds, because this is for recreation and park facilities, to also advocate for funding to renovate or restore the Isidore House, the building that's next door to the South Seas House. So I'm not quite sure. It came up on the motions, and I thought, oh, this would be great if we could send a letter of support. I just don't know if I have the time to do it, but maybe if I could get a letter, I could bring it back to executive next month, and then they could then forward it to governing board, I guess.
Okay, well, here's my question. I skimmed the motion. Prop K is a state program, right? So is it the state program, if you know, is the state program sunsetting, or is our share of the funds sunsetting in 2026, if you know?
I don't know. I just know they're no longer, the funds have been depleted. So it could be that the city is going to ask the state to.
Oh, give us more money before it sunsets.
Yes. And I do know that it's for recreation and park facilities. So,
Yeah.
That's that one. And then the next one, I mean, I don't know if you guys need to take
Teresa,
off.
on that one, it might be time sensitive. So I had put this in as a CIS because I copied and pasted your request. But is it really that you want us to write a letter to?
No, I'm in a CIS. I just know that even if it's a CIS, it still has to go to the board for approval. So, and I didn't write it to have it available to the executive committee tonight. So I just,
Well,
I don't know.
I think the agenda item is fairly clear that we would support the city. I mean, that what this is about is we support the city asking for final funds from Prop K and allocating some of those to the Isidore House, which is right next door. Is that the gist of it?
Yes.
Well, I would say we could all say we approve preparing a CIS for the governing board agenda, a proposed community impact statement for the governing board agenda on this matter, along the lines of what I just said.
Yes.
And I hear that you don't have a lot of time, Teresa, but I think this won't.
No, that sounds great. It's just that I can't make, I no longer can make motions.
I understand.
Okay.
You don't make motions here, but you can make motions at the board.
Yes, I can make it at the board.
Yeah. Or you can second it after the executive committee makes the motion. Okay, so the motion would be to place on the agenda a proposed community impact statement, requesting that the city indeed apply for some remaining funds before Prop K is sunsetted, and applying those funds to the Isidore House at whatever its address is.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, I will do that. And then the last,
We said yes. Moving on.
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
And then the last motion, this was recently brought forth, Monica Rodriguez, who sits on the Neighborhood Enrichment Committee, would like to investigate having youth, and we talked about this earlier, a youth position, but also explore having term limits. And I would like to recommend that the Neighborhood Council, that the Executive Committee ask the Governing Board to establish an ad hoc committee to explore the youth participation option, but also to explore term limits.
So Teresa, the problem with this motion is who made it, unfortunately, not you. I'm talking about Councilmember Rodriguez. The problem is she's gone after and is continuing to go after several of the neighborhood councils in her district. She's removed their ability to have meetings in public facilities. She tried to charge one of them, force them into having daytime weekday meetings or else pay hundreds
Is there
of dollars.
any documentation on that, Laura? Because if this is supposition or you've heard that, that's not relevant.
No. I just don't necessarily need to be specific. I can even pull it up now. The problem is, I don't know what measure of bias she has, because what happened, despite her actions on this one neighborhood council in particular, Sunland Tahanka, is that the most recent election, they elected and re-elected people who had retired and who came back because of this. And that's seemingly, the perception is that what she's trying to do is prevent the certain neighborhood councils and certain board members of those neighborhood councils from continuing to serve. So there's so much bias perceived, even if she is really trying to think something.
It's a motion, so it's going to have ramifications either way. And I feel our neighborhood council should explore it and have a position on it. Also, let me remind you that in the Hollywood Neighborhood Council, remember they had a lot of problems because they would not acknowledge a transgender person. And this was because of some people who had been on that board for a very long time. So I just feel if we're committed to
what she's saying, Teresa, that let's not put this into our world. What Councilmember Rodriguez's motion is saying, and that's what I say, it's hard to believe it. She's not saying necessarily the truthfulness of it, but rather she's saying that they're preventing new people from joining the boards. And so if you have term limits, it would, quote, facilitate greater member participation. But what would also facilitate greater member participation among neighborhood councils overall is increasing the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment's budget so that they can do more.
I'm asking for an ad hoc to explore it, Laura. If you don't like it, maybe Paula and Michael can chime in, but to have an ad hoc explore it, I don't think is wrong. It is a council motion and there will be a determination based on this motion.
Correct. So the agenda item, because I copied and pasted, was to do a community impact statement.
I'm pretty sure I asked for an ad hoc so we could explore it.
I copied and pasted your email. We had this conversation after the fact, sorry, but you had actually asked for a community impact statement. But, so that's what the agenda item here. I hear what you're saying, that what you actually want at this point is an ad hoc committee.
No, I'm going to go back and look at the email I sent to you because I'm pretty sure. And also I sent it out to, because remember,
you sent it,
Laura?
Well, you didn't send it to only me, I agree.
Yeah, no, I sent it to the number of people I'm allowed to under the Brown Act, Laura. And I was looking for board members who have participated and who are committed board members. It doesn't make a difference. The board will determine who can be on the ad hoc based on who volunteers. I don't have to be on it. I'm just saying that we should have an opinion on this, and I'd like for our neighborhood council to explore the motion.
Okay, so what you're asking for at this moment would be us to request that the governing board appoint an ad hoc committee to
Determine
comment.
if we
No,
should
wait,
file a
comment.
CIS.
To respond to this.
Yes, thank you, Paula.
I'm just concerned, we talked about an ad hoc committee for standing rules, ad hoc committee for this. There's not a whole lot of us. I mean, I suppose it's possible. I just want to make sure that we do get participation and we do respond.
Well,
Right.
remember bylaws, it was me and Laura and you, Paula, and Laura and I ended up working on bylaws. I don't
No,
think
it was
there's.
Chris, it wasn't Paul, it was Chris.
No.
who-
Oh, it was Chris. Well, in
And
the
she
end, it was
also
just me
didn't
and
work
Laura.
on it. It did end up being just Teresa and me, but it wasn't Paula who didn't show up, it was Chris who didn't show up.
So if you don't want to do it, I mean, this is I'm no longer on executive. You guys make the decision. on how
Well,
we-
yeah, Teresa, again, my concern,
It's a motion. It is a city
first of all,
council file motion.
the only person it applies to is me at this point. So perhaps I'm not even supposed to be commenting. Because I'm the only person left on the board who has served multiple terms.
No, that's untrue because Dolores has been on the board multiple
That's
terms.
Lying, Chris, you're right, Chris too.
Yeah.
But I'm
It's
saying.
not
is
about you,
maybe-
Laura. It's not about
maybe
you.
I'm saying maybe I'm conflicted, is what I'm saying. But that said, this is just an odd combination because the designated youth positions have a different problem. Well, that's interesting. Somehow I unplugged this computer. The youth positions have a different problem, which is that it's hard to keep youth in board seats.
You
And
mentioned that
it won't happen for 2 years anyway. We just redid our bylaws. And then the other one is, like I said, it just, to me, feels like, here, I'm moving the computer. It feels like not anything that you're doing, but with the council member, it's just that I wish she had thought about it and just asked somebody else to carry the motion. It just has a odd.
And I bring forth council motions all the time, as you can see. This one happens to be about the neighborhood council system. And I feel that our neighborhood council should explore it and sit and come forth with an opinion. This is not about you or about me. It is about our organization.
Okay, so let's stop the back and forth. What is it that we want to do here? The request is that the bylaws include a youth position, is that correct?
No, the request Teresa's making is a second, unrelated to the standing rules ad hoc committee. We don't have a community impact statement committee. So she's requesting that we essentially appoint a ad hoc committee to look into this motion about neighborhood council bylaws amendments. So in other words, the motion itself is saying that all that the city council should consider requiring that all neighborhood councils, one, amend their bylaws to make sure they have a youth position, and two, amend their bylaws to create term limits. And within that, the question is term limits, there's two approaches I've seen already discussed. One is in the same seat.
It doesn't make it, Laura, you're making this too difficult. That our board will be making the determination what's best for us. Who cares what other people are doing? What I'm asking, Paula, is to see if we have any board members who'd like to explore this so our neighborhood council can participate in whatever the city council is going to put forth. It is a city council motion and it will be voted on by the city council. First by the committee and then by the full board. I'd like for us to have a position on this.
And
if you don't want to, Laura, because you're having some issues, fine. Paula and Michael can make the determination if yes or no. It's fine with me.
Actually, you don't understand. We have to vote all three together because that's
You can vote no.
No, but then the motion dies. It requires 3 votes.
Okay,
not-
so let's
Let's.
go ahead, Michael.
So I was gonna say, what are we really, so we're going to spin up a committee that will then come back with suggestions that we then vote on, or?
That would be what it would be. And they'd have to bring it here. 'Cause
Or not. or
going to
not?
be
Because
like
in the end, we will-
itemized. Well, I'm sorry, we have these sort of two things bundled into one that to me seem unrelated.
Yeah.
So will the output then be I guess what's the expected output that we then vote
A
on?
community impact statement.
And would we be presented with one option or multiple ones, or would it
A
just be a thumbs
community-
up, thumbs down on the whole thing?
What normally
depends on what
happens,
the committee could
Yeah.
come back and say, well, we don't want to vote on term limits, but we want to support a youth committee or whatever the youth portion is. It could be they're like, well, we're already working on changing our standing rules to have a youth ambassador. We want to focus on the term limits, whatever it is. And I just feel we need to be part of this vote, this thing. Also, Michael, when we submit a CIS, we can then speak at the
Hearings.
council hearing. We will be given additional time as a neighborhood council to speak at the council hearing.
right, but Teresa, the question is, and we don't have a standing community impact statement committee, which would have been the right place to send this. But we could, we send, because always we're sending
Yeah,
random.
but so we have an ad hoc. This is going to require committed people to meet and discuss. This is not just like somebody could just write a CIS. We have to discuss this, and that's why I'm saying a
Right.
committee could explore it and then come back to the board. And I'm not talking about, new people. Dolores, I reached out to Dolores. She said this is something she's interested in. And she's somebody who's been on the board for a while. Or it can be, whoever volunteers, it can be anybody. I don't have to be on this committee. I'm just saying that it's a group that could then bring something to the board, and it gives us a seat at the table when we go before the city council, because it is going to be heard. It's a council file.
Yeah, understood. No, I understand.
Okay, so
Listen, it's not
let's
a real
move.
problem, it's not a real problem to do an ad hoc committee. Where we have a real problem is that what we don't have is our CIS committee. So of late.
Well, I feel like I don't want to talk about this anymore. I have worked with you. We don't have a problem with the CIS. You and I just did a CIS. I just talked to you about doing a CIS for prop pay. It is not a problem.
You don't have to yell.
Okay, sorry, Paula. I just feel some frustration. Laura, just say no, you don't want it. That's fine. That's your prerogative on the executive.
That was hardly where I was going, actually. Where I was going is we don't have a framework to respond to council motions where they don't hit kind of bullseyes with existing committees that we have. And that's why this is on executive in the first place. So I don't mind doing an ad hoc committee for this one, but we really need to resolve the underlying issue, which is we don't have a place for random council motions that we might want to make comments on. Because it should not be happening at executive. It should be happening at an entity that has some focused knowledge. So for this one, I think it's.
We recommended spinning up one to do the bylaws.
No, then the bylaw, this is, community impact statements are a certain kind of formatted response to council motions.
Right.
That's quite different than our other activities. So of late, we've done community impact statements out of planning and zoning, we've done them out of public safety, we did it out of the environmental committee, because we'll spend an hour talking about something and come up with something, and that's not bad to have it, but we're missing so many committees that when something like this comes up, this would have been outside anything anyway. So ad hoc is not inappropriate. But the next one might be, all about, I don't know, making economic development and bids, and we don't have that committee activated either. So the problem that we need to solve is how to respond to council motions. That's not on tonight's agenda. For this one, I understand what Teresa's saying. So if we want to go to the board to say, can we appoint up to 6 people to work on this and bring a recommendation to executive, next month, that's fine.
Okay. I mean, it seems unfortunate in that there's two things that are unrelated that will then get sort of pawned off into a single up or down vote. You know, it's like.
Well, not
it-
necessarily.
Well, but, okay,
Right,
I mean,
not-
if they're
I'm-
treated separately, then that's
Well-
probably the ideal.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. They are two different things that got put together into one single council motion, and
Right.
they're not related to each other.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if it's presented to me as an up or down vote, then I can decide which one I care more about and then vote on that or which, you know.
Teresa, do you know, I don't know the answer, isn't every council allowed to file two CISs on one
Yeah, I was
motion?
gonna say, why do we have to do one just because they presented one?
I agree with Paula. I don't know, and I don't know why we can't. And ultimately, we can write a letter directly to Monica Rodriguez if we wanted to do it. We could file the CIS, but write a letter directly to her if there was a
Right.
conflict.
Because I feel I have two completely different opinions. Okay, anyway, so it's up, whatever you guys want to do as to an ad hoc committee.
Okay, we're gonna, what are we doing here? We're
Well,
going
Teresa's requesting that we recommend to the governing board that,
an ad hoc committee.
that it appoint an ad hoc committee.
Yes, I
Also,
agree.
she's also indicated that she's reached out already to some people, I don't know who they are, but they'll know who they are, and they'll have to be at the board meeting to get appointed if they want to be.
It's not, but listen.
No, it's okay, Teresa, it's okay. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
wanna-
let's move on.
Yeah,
That's
Let's
not-
move on.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't.
want to make sure we get people to participate. So I reached out to people who I thought may be interested.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's not
just
a
won't,
problem.
if they're not at the board meeting, they won't be able to be appointed, that's all I'm saying. Whoever they are, they'll raise their
Okay.
hands if they wanna
This-
be, and
this-
other people might raise their hands too.
Discussion ended. Number
Yes.
10.
Oh, we don't have any committee reports, actually we do, but it's okay.
Okay. 11. Okay, we've got.
I think we've pretty much
Yes.
handled that.
Okay, so is there any old business?
Yeah,
All right, then meeting is adjourned at 9:11 p.m.
said Laura.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Laura, before you go.
Wait a minute, hang